Oh my goodness.
So, hello and welcome everybody to session 2 of our Lost in Time shawl. I'm going to show you my current progress. I just love it.
Ooh. Very nice.
So this is, I'm using the colors that she had done in the sample out of the Sheep Just Katona yarn. And this is all the way through row 26. And then you repeat after row 26. You start repeating with row 15 through 26 again and again. So I believe this is the repeat right here. So
Yes.
we'll continue on from there. So I wanted to get through one complete repeat to kind of show, but I'm loving it. I'm just loving it. It's just been a lot of fun to work on. So last session, and I think I have this right, we were going to pick up with row 14. I don't think we had done row 14. I watched the last video. So that's where I'm going to start, which works out perfectly because then the repeat starts when you work all the way through row 26, then you start over again with row 15. So we're kind of leading right into it. So to make that a little easier and quicker to get across, I have a small sample here to work across. So I can show the beginning and the ending stitches and where stitches go. So I believe we had, on row 13, we had worked through, I'm gonna switch to my camera, sorry. Share. See. Okay. No, that's not what I want. Stop sharing. Technology has not been my friend today.
Amen.
Kicked me off Instagram. Ugh. Had to reconnect myself. There we go. Here's the camera. Let me make that bigger. And so I've got a little sample here. I think it's a sample I had used last time. And all I did was I added rows 12, 13, so that I could show how to do row 14. And then we'll just build on from there. So I've got the beginning of the rows, and then I'll move to the end of the rows, and then we can turn it over and work through the rows that way without having to watch me go all the way across. Okay, so we had finished row 13 with front post. So we would have finished on what is technically the wrong side. We finished with a front post double crochet stitch all the way across and 3 double crochets in the last double crochet. So let's put one more in there because I've got 2. And I'm just going to switch to, let's see, I'm just going to switch to another color so it makes it easy to see. Because it's my sample, I'm just going to tie those. So we're going to start with row 14, which introduces back post double crochet stitches. Pull off some yarn. All right, so row 14 starts with the chain 3. And I like to chain before I turn. Now we're looking at the right side. Is that correct? Am I on the right one now? Or did I already do that row? Hold on. I have to look at my main one. I thought I had it all ready, but now I'm second guessing. Yes, that's correct. I think that's correct, yeah. If it's not correct, we're about to find out. Okay. We're gonna do 2 double crochets in the first. Okay. And then we're gonna do a back post double crochet in the next 3, right? So for a back post double crochet, start with our yarn over. We're going to go, instead of coming and bringing our stitch and all of the work to the front, which is a front post, we're going to go to the back. And sometimes, if you've not done these before, it's a little easier to turn your work, or at least part way, so you can see the back or get your hook into the back. But I'm going to bring the hook from the back over that first post and back to the back again. And pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. And what that does is it pulls, instead of pulling the stitch to the front, which is what front post stitches did, it pulls the stitch to the back and makes back post stitches. So I'll repeat across, and it wants us to do it into the first 3 double crochets we come to. So we've got 1, 2, and we're going to do 1 more. And the counting may seem a little off on this, but you have to trust the pattern here, okay? Because it looks like we've gone into this cluster a bit. So I've done 3 back post stitches, and then I'm going to make a popcorn stitch before the first 8 double crochet group, which are these stitches right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So even though this one looks like it belongs to here, it really doesn't. There is the 8 double crochet group, okay? And where we make this popcorn stitch is in this ridge we have right here. And she has a picture of it. I'm going to show you, I'm going to tilt it. You're really going to go underneath. You can go through the stitch. It's just as easy, and actually I think easier, to go underneath this whole ridge, this space right here. So from the front, it would look like this. Start with the yarn over, and I'm going to come down underneath. Let's get my ends out. So this popcorn is not going to be behind. The popcorn is going to be in front. So I came from the bottom up underneath and finished my double crochet. Remember, a popcorn stitch is 4 doubles all in the same space. And I found as I was making the popcorns, it was easy to fold this over so that I could get into that space really easy. That's 1, 2, 3. 4. And then you release your hook, go to the top of the first one, from the front, grab the loop, and pull it through, and you've made a popcorn. So we're going to end up having these popcorns in between these shell stitches that we've made of the 8 double crochet. And in between them, we'll be doing back post double crochets. Now on this side, on this first side, you will be skipping the first double crochet of that 8 double crochet group, because you only make 7 double crochets, back post double crochets, because the popcorn's really covering that first one. Okay, so you're going to skip the first one, yarn over, and if you have to push this out of the way a little to see, or flip it to the back so you can see where the second one is. There we go. And lost my yarn over. There we go. Lost the yarn over again. Third time's a charm. And that first one I think is the trickiest because you're kind of fighting against where the popcorn is pulling. The rest should go pretty easy. So I'm going to make 7 of these. Because this yarn is so thick, I'm really kind of having to mush it a little. Get it out of the way. But with the thinner yarn, I don't think you should have to. It should be pretty easy to get your hook up from the back, across that post into the back again. But fold it over if you need to, if that's what makes it easier. And you'll just get the hint of the base of the stitch across the front, with the rest of the stitch popping up across the back. Okay, so we've got one more to do here. And I'm going to double check my count. Make sure I've got the 7. If I did my count correctly on my shell and I had 8 and I skipped the first one, I should have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 right there. And then we're going to go and make another popcorn in the space here underneath that what had been a post stitch from a previous row. Okay. And again, yarn over, come underneath from the front. All of my current crochet projects are in fingering weight yarn, so to use this big giant hook makes me feel clumsy. And then one more. Release your hook. Go into the top of the first one. Reconnect your loop. Pull it through. Remember, in the popcorn, you aren't making a chain after the popcorn. You're just going into the next stitch. Other patterns may have you making a chain one. And honestly, if you made a chain one here, it wouldn't be the end of the world. As long as you are then skipping the first double here from the previous row and starting your back post stitches across. So that will continue all the way up to the center point. And you'll be putting, I'm going to bring mine over here so you can see where it joins up at the center. So here's my, in this case, my popcorns are the gold. So you're going to come up all the way to after the last shell group, you'll do another popcorn here. And then you're going to do, you're going to skip one double crochet again, and you're going to do one back post double. You can see it poking out right there. In the next 2 doubles, so here and here, and then you make your center, which is 2 double crochets, a chain 2, and 2 double crochets. And then we continue down the other side, which I'll show you. It's a little bit different on this side. You're going to do a back post stitch in the back post stitch in the next 2 doubles, skip one, popcorn, and you skip, instead of skipping the first one after the popcorn, you're going to skip the last since we're going down the other direction. So let me show you how that works. So that's not an error. That's, you just reverse it going down the other side. So I would make that, it's really hard. I'm just going to just start here. Not front post, back post. Back post stitches all the way down until there's one left, because I would have started in the first one. And this time I'm going to skip this one and make my popcorn. And it keeps it looking balanced. Again, the popcorn's made in the same place in that gap between 2, 3, 4. And then this is even a little trickier because you are going to make one in this very first. So kind of wrench it around. But it makes the ends come out symmetrical as well by reversing how we did it on the first side. And in my peripheral vision, I can see a knot coming in my yarn. We're just going to work right over that. Luckily, it's just gets sucked in there. All the way down. We're going to skip. Oh, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So as you approach the last one, the end one here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this last one is not part of that. Just want to make sure I am doing the right number, and I would suggest you do the same. So we went into the first one, and I'm going to make 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Six, 7. I'm going to skip this last one. I'm going to make another popcorn in that space between this double and these 3. There is a nice, if I turn it sideways, you can actually really see the space. Nice space right there. Okay. Popcorn. 3, 3, and 4. And then we're going to, let's see, 1 popcorn between the last 8 double crochet group and the second last double crochet. 1 back post double in the next 3 stitches. So we skip this one because we started with the first. So we're going to do a back post in the next 3 stitches. So we've got, so tight with this one. 1, 2, and 3. And this ends with 3 double crochets in the top of the turning chain. So there's 3 back posts and then 1, 2, 3 double crochets right there, which mimics what we started with, which was a chain 3 and 2 doubles in the same space. And that's how that row ends. So when all is said and done, you should have, at the end of row 14, 6 popcorns and 45 double crochets on each side. Don't forget that when you make your centers, those on either side of the chain 2, those double crochets count for each side. So if you feel like you're missing one, the chain 3 also counts. So make sure you've got the right number before you move on. What's nice is going forward here, we're starting to get into repeats, and you maybe don't need to count quite so often because you'll start to feel the rhythm and that you're ending up in the right place. And you will probably also start to figure out how you can fudge it if you need to, because you know what it's supposed to look like. You've got something else to look at that you can check out. Okay, so that's row 14. Row 15. And I'm going to keep working on my little pieces parts here. I'm going to move. This one starts with a chain 4. I'm going to change colors here. Okay, so let's pull a new color through. And chain 1, 2, 3, and 4. We were talking this morning in class that when you see a chain 4, which you don't always see, it's probably mimicking something that you're going to see on the other side. So I just want to point that out, a way to really kind of refer to your pattern. So we've got, it starts with a chain 4, this row, and then a double crochet in the first stitch, which really is the same as a double crochet, a chain 1, and a double crochet at the end, because the chain 4 acts as a double crochet plus a chain 1. So keep that in mind, that when you see something like a chain 4, because you don't see that terribly often, it is mimicking something you're going to see at the end. Okay, so I'm going to turn. So I'm back on the wrong side. Chain 4 and 1 double in the first stitch. So there it does in fact look like a double crochet, a chain 1, and a double crochet. Now here comes my repeat. Chain 1, skip a double crochet. Now when we made these, we made them as back post stitches. They're still considered a double crochet. So we're going to skip this one, and we're going to put a front post stitch in the next one. So skip this one and put a front post stitch, which means we're staying all to the front. And then I'm going to do this 2 times. Chain 1, skip a double, front post stitch in the next. Okay. And then chain 1, skip 1 double, which is right here. And this little dip you see right here is the popcorn from the other side. So we're going to skip this double, and I'm going to put a double in the popcorn. So where to put it? I played around with this a little bit. If you look at the popcorn from here, the top of the popcorn it's really right here. If I flip that back over, I feel like that leans it a little too far over this way. So what I liked was the stitch just to the left of it. And I put a double crochet right there. And I tried this a couple different ways. I'm going to do the next stitch so we can see it all together. Chain 1, skip a double, and do a front post. Let me turn it back over. because really we want it to look right from the right side. There we go. So play with your stitches a little bit. Oh, should have done a couple more. If it looks better to you, it depends on how tight you pull that popcorn. Let's try it in that first space. And then skip one and do a front post. Just be consistent. So on this big chunky yarn, it actually looks better there, I think. On my thinner yarn, when I did it here, it actually looked better. The post coming out of it, it looked a little bit better coming out. If I push this out of the way, you can see it's a little bit over to the side. So, but it just looked better that way. It doesn't really matter as long as you're not taking up another double. Do what looks right to you and know that you can do that. You've really got a couple of spaces you can try. You could even, if you really are particular, you could try going into the back bump of that stitch if you wanted to. Just keep flipping it over and make sure you like what it looks like from the front, okay? And then you continue on. Front post. Now we're going to do front post, skip one, front post until we get to the next popcorn. That's your repeat with a chain one in between. So you're always going to, the other thing you need to remember on this row, make sure that you are having a chain one after everything you do. After every double you make, do a chain one. Skip. After you do the double in the popcorn, do a chain one. Because you're going to need those chain one spaces in the next row. So here, let's go. Chain one, skip one, and we'll continue across. So now you're getting this nice double row, pushes these forward, and you're just starting these big chain one spaces that we're going to need for the following row. You'll do that all the way up to the center. Just gonna pull that through. We'll go all the way up to the center, and let me see, what did I write? Chain one, skip one front post double, and the next double 2 times, and that takes you right up to the corner. You'll make your corner, you'll chain one, and you're going to do a front post right into the next double. So let's come down this side. I'll do a double in my popcorn there. And one, skip one. And yeah. And down. Just don't forget, and I already did, don't forget those chain ones, because that will really show on the next row. You really do need that space. And then skip one. Post. Chain one. Now we're at the bobble. Popcorn bobble. Chain one. And as you approach the end, as usual, I'm having a Zoom class and my family's texting. Never fails. Every other Monday. The other Mondays, they never reach out to me. They're just so predictable. Okay, as we get to the end here, I'm just looking back to my pattern. Chain one, skip one, one double, one front post. And all the way to the end. Sorry. And then to mimic that chain four and a double in the first stitch, we're going to finish with one double, a chain one, and a double in that turning chain. Double, chain one, double. Okay. And that's how you finish row 15. I'm going to change my color here. And let's add a little gray. Row 16 is a chain one. And now these rows go really fast. You are going to do a single in the first double. Okay. And then you're going to chain one and you're going to do a single in the next chain one space. So any of those into the space stitches, I feel like they go really fast. Just make sure you're not doing doubles, you're doing singles on this one. Go around.
It's funny you say that. I caught myself quite a few times
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
on the single row, and all of a sudden I'm making doubles. I'm like, wait a
Yes.
minute, that doesn't look right.
Yes. And I'm still marking on mine. I'm still marking my end. You know, so in case I need to pull out, I'm still marking. And I put it down and I went back to look as I picked it back up. I'm like, no, that's supposed to be, oh crap, I did doubles instead of singles. So you'll do this all the way to the center, to the last chain one space, which takes you right up to the corner. And you'll do a single, a chain, two, and a single in the corner. And you'll go on the other side. And let's go. Side. Done. Single, single, chain one, single, chain one, single, chain one, single, chain, single, chain, all the way to the last chain one space, which make sure you don't miss it. The last chain one space is not here, it's here, which was the chain four. So the last chain one space is right there. The chain three plus that extra chain made a chain one space. So make sure you're putting one in there. And then we end with one single, we'll chain one single in the third chain of that turning chain. So that's the important part of that row, I feel like, is not to miss that last chain one space, because it wasn't listed as a chain one space, it was listed as a chain four, which really is a double plus a chain one. Okay, so that's the end of row 16. Row 17 is coming back and you are going to put, I'm not going to do it because row 17 is putting doubles in these chain one spaces. So you'll start with chain 3 and you'll put a double in the first single right here. And then you're going to put, do a chain 1 and a double in the next chain 1 space, chain 1 and a double, chain 1 and a double into all of these singles, okay, all the way around. So essentially what you just did, but in double crochet form. And then row 18 is you're going to do this row of single again. So you'll start with a chain 1 and you're going to end up putting 2 singles in the first double crochet, chain 1, 1 single in the next, chain 1, 1 single in the next, all the way around. So essentially you get this lovely business right here. So it alternates double and then a single. My purple is my double. My gold is the single, double, single. Okay. So you get this nice kind of mesh looking stitch when you do that, which really mimics what we started with back here. It's just grown a little bit. So we're already we're into our repeats a little bit, right? So instead of going back and forth, I'm gonna start from here. Because those rows are really the same. I'm gonna switch my color though. All right, so we ended over here. No, we ended over here. So row 19, let's see, is another double. Oh, so 19 and 20 are the same. So we're going to move on to 21. I want to make sure that that's right. Hold on. 21 is the same. So 18, 19, 20, 21 are all repeating single in the chain 1 space, then double in the chain 1 space, single in the chain 1 space, double in the chain 1 space. Those rows go really fast. And then when you get to row 22, there is a difference. So what is it? The last one is, it still finishes up with a single. So I'm still gonna pick it up from here. But I need to be on the right side because we're making popcorns and those are always on the right side. New popcorn system. Okay, so I'm moving. Does that make sense to everybody? I hope it does. The repeats of those rows. All right, row 22. We start with a chain 4, which we've already learned means something. I'm just going to kind of slip it on here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1 double in the first single. So already we have a double, a chain 1 and a double. Chain 1 and popcorn in the next single. Now, this is not going into a space, it is going into a stitch. So we're going to put a popcorn into the top of the single crochet. So there's a couple ways you can do this, and I played with it a little bit. When you're turning back and forth, typically the top of the stitch you need to go into is to the left of the post of the stitch. So it should be the popcorn going in right here, but that's kind of hard to get underneath the top of that stitch. I found it was much easier and looked pretty if I just the two legs of our single crochet that kind of look like this, if I just split them and I put my hook right between the two legs and did my popcorn right there. And I'll show you what it looks like on my real one. It doesn't change, doesn't affect your stitch count in any way.
I'm glad you brought that up.
I found it looked a little lopsided if I tried to go into the top of the stitch, either to the right or the left of the post. 1, 2, 3. So I
It wasn't the previous row, single crochet, chain one.
yeah.
I would have, I think I might prefer mine in the chain one space, the popcorn
No.
over the chain one space. I don't like the way it splits the V when you make the popcorn.
So do it that way. Just end up with the right, just know that you're doing that.
Okay.
And here's what I did. So for mine, I actually, I had changed colors on my last single. So it actually kind of highlighted it. I mean, it made it look a little zigzaggy and I liked it. So
With yours, it looks good. I like it with those colors.
Right.
I'm not caring for it with mine.
So know that you can do that. Put it in the space. Just make sure you end up with the right number of popcorns and the
Okay.
right number of doubles that you need because you need them for the next row.
Right. I didn't know if it would affect it if I swapped it around.
No, it should be fine as
Okay.
long as you account for it right from the beginning and just be consistent.
Okay.
That should be fine. So like I said, I played with it a little, and because it just kind of made this nice little zigzag design, I liked the way it looked. If it had been
And
different colors, I might not have liked it.
to me, that is the way the directions read. To me, I was taught
Yeah,
when you're crocheting into a single crochet is to split that V.
right.
And
It-
it's the other stitches when you get into the doubles and the triples that you want to be to the left. I
Correct.
don't know why that makes any sense,
It
but
does, because there's not much of a post for a single
right.
crochet. So when you lean to the left or or go to the top, it really is almost a whole nother space. When you've got a taller stitch, it accounts for that. The visual of it is very different. Yeah,
Right.
I totally agree. So
Okay.
as long as you end up with the right number of, at the end of this row, double crochets and popcorns, it's not going to matter.
Okay.
Yeah, you will
I might pull out what I've done and redo.
right.
Okay.
So I'm going to do, so that was a popcorn here. I just want to have a couple here so I can show the next bit. Popcorn. Let's see. And this popcorn does have a chain one after it because then we're going to put a double in the next single. So what I ended up doing is just splitting my stitches, and you alternate double popcorn, all the way down. Let's do a couple here. One, two, three, 4. And that's the nice thing about crochet. Make sure you've got a chain. That's important on here, a chain between your popcorns and your doubles. You can pull, you can do a little test and then pull it out if it doesn't look right. With knitting, that's a lot harder.
Yes.
Much smaller room for error there. All right. I'm going to just do one more double. I'm going to go to the other side and finish so we can see what happens on the last. Whoop! Camera down. We are such a professional outfit over here. Oh my God. while I'm doing this, I did start, I know we talked in the last class about the ends. There's a lot of ends if you're changing color. We have one woman in the class who's using just one yarn that changes color on its own, and she's mostly just enjoying the process. She's using a self-striping yarn, which doesn't always align with this, but it actually looks kind of cool. And I'm a little envious because she doesn't have any ends.
My self-striping yarn never works out, so I just don't bother anymore.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I hope she posts a photo of it when it's finished,
Yes,
because
I
she
will
should be
make her.
proud.
I will make her. All right, I want to make sure I get these in the right spots. So we're gonna end with a popcorn here. So popcorn here, popcorn here, popcorn here, here. And then, no, so because I wasn't going to change it. And we finish with a popcorn in the second to last single crochet. And we finish with a double, a chain one, and a double, which mimics the chain 4 and a double that we started with in the top of the last single. The double, chain 1, double. Okay. I am not going to change colors because I didn't change colors in my, I'm just going to keep going with this one. Row 20, that was row 22. Row 23 also starts with a chain 4. We're going to put one double, a chain 2, and one double in the top of the next double crochet. So I'm going to go to the top of the next one. I'm going to put a double, a chain 2, and a double in the top of the next. So here was my chain 4. Here's my double, chain 2, double in the top of the next. Popcorn's popping back. Then I'm going to do a double. I'm going to do this all the way across to the last double crochet on this side. All right. So the top of the next double, because this is a popcorn, is over here. One. So you're only going into those double crochets, chain, 2, 1, double. Skip the popcorn, a double, chain 2, double. Skip the popcorn. And you're going to do this all the way up to the center. Chain 2, and the double. When you get to the center, you're going to put a double, a chain 2, and a double, which is going to look like every other stitch on that row. I recommend, because when you come back to do the next row, it will be very easy to lose your center because essentially you have a whole bunch of centers coming all the way up. So when you get to your point and you do the double, chain 2, and a double, slide a stitch marker in there to recognize your center stitch. And that way, when you come back to do the next row, you'll know which one is your center, because it will look like all the rest of them on that row. And I did get off a couple times. I could not figure out what was happening. And so what we're making here is a double, a chain 2, and a double, a chain 2, and a double. We're making all these little V's, which you end up making here in the center as well. So when you come back across, I ended up having one of these shells going across my center got all off because I got lost. So mark your center and you'll avoid that problem. So you'll go up one side and down the other. We are rounding the bend to the end. Double. So chain 2. As I work this, I did start to weave in ends on my other one, which I'm going to reward myself every time I maybe get a couple rows done. I got the ends woven in on one side, and that was very satisfying because all those little tails are not fun. Skip the popcorn. Double, chain 2, double. And it was nice being able to have a nice way to hide your ends, especially if you're changing colors. There's so many nice stitches just to let them disappear into. All right, and I'm gonna go, let's look at the end of this row. To the second to last double crochet, which is right here. This is the popcorn. Here's the second to last. Let's put one of these little V's here. And then one double crochet in the third chain from the beginning, previous row. All right, that's row 23. 24. Start with the chain 3. And turn.
Back to the shells. Yeah.
And we're going to do one double crochet in the first double crochet, which is right here. And then we're going to do 8 double crochets in the next chain 2 space. So the chain 2 space is at the top of this little V that we made. So right here in this space, we're going to put 8. You can start to see the repeat happening. 2, 3. So the first 15 rows are really the setup to get everything started. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then rows 15 through 26 are the repeat that you're going to make to continue to make it bigger. But they're really pieces and parts that started on rows 1 through 15 as well. There's really nothing new, any new stitches coming at this point. So after you make 8 doubles in that chain 2 space, I'm going to skip a chain 2 space. So really pay attention. This is not a chain 2 space. This is the next chain 2 space, because this V made a chain 2 space. Here's the next chain 2 space. And I'm going to go all the way over to here. Okay. It looks like a long road, but it pulls it all together. 8 doubles over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you're going to do this all the way to the last chain 2 space on this side, which is not your center. I would skip this one, go into the next one. And it pulls it over. It doesn't look gappy. And this is our front. It looks quite nice. And what this is going to leave you with is some spaces here that we're going to be using. Okay. So let's go to the other side to finish. And just make sure I'm putting these in the right space. And 8 double crochets. I'm going to do that all the way to the last chain 2 space, which is here. So I'm going to skip this one. I'm going to put one here. Okay, that's sweet. Mm-hmm. Six, 7, 8. Skip one all the way to the last one. One, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. This row ends with 2 double crochets in the 3rd chain in the beginning of the previous row. So we'll put 1 and 2. And I'm going to change colors here. I think I mentioned this last time, but when I change colors, I like to do it with the last yarn over of the last stitch from the previous row. And then do my chaining. So row 25, chain 3. and turn, and I think it makes the colors stack up very nicely. 2 double crochets in the first, 1 and 2, and then 1 front post double crochet in every double crochet all the way up to the second to last one from the center. So we're going to do front posts all the way up in every double crochet you come across. Make sure you, at the end of your rows here, you're still counting to make sure you've got, so we should have 87 double crochets at this point on each side. But their front post doesn't make a difference. They're still double crochets. We go all the way across these. And we're making front post, but when you flip it over to the right side, then they act like back post. They look like they're coming out of the back. And you're starting to see a little bit of a repeat here is happening. So all the way across, you'll do this. I'm just going to cross the barrier here. It's going to be back to the next side. So you'll do that all the way up to the center. You'll do, and I highlighted this because I don't know that we've had one of these before, 3 double crochets, a chain 2, and 3 double crochets in your center. So make sure you're putting those 3 doubles. And let's finish up some. Post it, and then you're going to, you'll skip the first double as you're coming down this side, and you will put a front post double in every double that you come to. Just going to bridge the gap here. And then we have the very last row of our repeat after this. And when it comes to the repeat, you can do the repeat, which starts again after row 26. Starts again with row 15, as many times as you want, just to make sure you end with a row 26. That's the important part of there. Now you won't have stitch counts anymore that line up. But I think you'll have a good understanding of where those are supposed to be. You could do the math and write your stitch counts. We're going to do a front post double in every double to the second to last one. There's the second to last one. And we're going to put 3 doubles in the last. 1, 2, and 3. And 26. Right, and change here. Let's do it together to finish it up. We start with a chain 3 for row 26. 1, 2, 3. And we put 2 doubles in the first. 1 and 2. And we're going to put a back post double in the next 3, which should sound familiar. One. That's how we started out. Two and three. And we're going to put a popcorn before the group. And here's where you're going to put the popcorn in the same underneath. Sorry, I got off camera there. We're going to go underneath the same chain. Make our popcorn. So the popcorn, 2, 3, 4, is coming in front, and the rest of the stitches are back post stitches. So we get this, and then we're going to, on this side, we're going to skip the first one again. We'll skip this one right here, and we'll do 7 back post. And when you come down the other side, we go all the way to the end, and then we'll make another popcorn right here. And when you're coming down the other side, it'll just be the reverse, and that you will make a popcorn here. Make a popcorn in this space, and you'll go into the first stitch. And I'm going to go into the very first one right behind it. Oops. And we'll do 7, and we will skip. Over. I thought I was holding it and I lost it. And we'll do everyone and we'll skip the last one. So we'll do this all the way to the end. We'll skip this last one here. We're going to put a popcorn, excuse me, a popcorn here. And then you're going to put a back post in the next 3 stitches. So I'm sorry, the popcorn goes right here. You skip your last one. 1, 2, 3. And then 3 double crochets in your top. And then you start all over again with row 15. So let me see here. I think that's what I was working on. Excuse me, just finishing my row 26. And here's your repeat from here to here. So a couple of things. You repeat from, so row 15 then would start right here again. You would get this mesh stitch again and work into here. If you wanted to repeat this fewer times, you could, or more times if you wanted to make it bigger, because you do need to end with row 26. Having this at the end is really kind of all part of the shawl. So if you or making it to a certain point or getting an idea, okay, so my repeat is roughly this wide. You could block it now. Oh, excuse me. And you could start to get an idea of how deep your shawl is going to get. If you wanted it to be a little deeper without having to do a whole nother repeat, you could add another row of single and double and single if you wanted to, and make this part a little wider. Just make sure that you're ending with the single. You know, you could just add, it starts with a single, it ends with a single. Make sure you're doing that. You can add another single, double, and then go back to the single again. You don't have stitch counts at this point, but I think you can go back and look to see how things line up. You might want to keep your center marked at this point too. Just keep a stitch marker in your center and move it as you make a new center. And that will make sure you're keeping your center nice all the way along. Okay, so those were the tips and tricks I had for maybe increasing. I'm going to follow it just as is. I'm not going to add any extra, but I did see in one of the forum posts that somebody did add just one extra repeat of single and double in each. I think they did 2 more repeats, and it just made it a little deeper, a little bit bigger without having to do a whole other repeat. It just made each repeat a little bit deeper. So if you wanted to do that, these would be the rows to do that in. Are there any questions? Okay.
No, thank you for doing this for
You're
this one.
welcome. So next month, I'm going to show how to do the border and the tassels. I'm hoping to have mine done by then. I'm kind of on a roll with it now, so I think that'll be good.
Now I'm gonna have to order those colors. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm not sorry. I think I'm gonna do the one I've got, and then I'm gonna do another one in those colors because they are just gorgeous.
They're so pretty. I'm so happy. And then I was showing the lady who came into, I'm going to stop recording.